While Infinity Ultron is a fun card for some players, the vast majority of players think this card stinks.
Trash.
The stats say he's
Trash.
and he's probably just
Trash.
if I had to guess, I'd say it will see a buff. The best lines I've seen potentially are with Surfer. I'm recording this a little bit out from when Infinity Ultron cycles out. I have a lot to think about with the new economy changes and if I want to be collection complete, because I will have the resources completely free to be collection complete if I choose. So I'm mulling over that. So I still might end up picking up Infinity Ultron, but he is not a good card. The Spotlight lineup includes Strange Supreme, Speed, and US Agent. Strange Supreme gains power when he merges, and he does that automatically at the end of each turn with created cards. How I am interpreting that to mean is those created cards need to be on the board, not in your hand or in your deck. So that is the idea I'm going forward with the theory crafted decks I'll be presenting. This genuinely to me seems like it could be the most powerful 2-cost card. There is of course some setup. You need cards that generate either tokens or cards in your hand that you then play to be merged. This also gains power just from merging, period. So there are synergies with Agony, Hulkbuster if you want to go that route. Otherwise, this is just a lot of power that is susceptible to Shang-Chi if you take him above 10, or Shadow King. For Series 2, I've really just thrown together a bunch of decent cards at that level, in addition to some tech with Enchantress. Cosmo is here as tech, but also protection if you get your Strange Supreme big enough. There's Sunspot in case you need to soak energy. Squirrel Girl and Mr. Sinister, you'll see in Strange Supreme decks, they just add those created cards directly to the board for no additional tax or cost, and the deck just rounds out with other card generators. For the Series 3 version, I've thrown him into a Bass deck. Now, if you have access to Agent Venom, he definitely belongs in here. Squirrel Girl makes another appearance. There's Maria Hill and Mirage to get your Strange Supreme up high. Havoc makes an appearance. Goose is good protection for either Havoc or Strange Supreme. Iron Man and Mystique combo is just fantastic. And then Shang-Chi for some tech. Time to get absolutely wacky, and this deck might convince me to get Strange Supreme just so I can test it out because it cracks me up. So we are leaning on Joaquin Torres Falcon and Firehair to create demons or cards from Maria Hill. There's Quinjet, so we can play those cards down. There's Carnage and Misery, when combined with Firehair, just re-triggers a bunch of these effects. There is Sam Wilson Captain America, just to increase power in a lane. Goose is here for some amount of lane control and protection. Invisible Woman, because if you don't want Strange Supreme to absorb one of your created cards, play it behind Invisible Woman. Strange Supreme is end of turn, Invisible Woman is end of game, so when Invisible Woman reveals those created cards, they won't be merged with Strange Supreme. You keep your opponent off guard. They don't know what you're playing behind Invisible Woman. She's fallen well out of any type of meta there is. Fastos to manipulate some of the energy and power in your deck. And this deck really fascinates me. If you need decent stats on a 3-cost card, Speed may fit that bill. He's seen in some ongoing decks, some Surfer decks, not many, but some. And he's just, if you're spending your energy every single turn, he just ends up being a good play. He doesn't have to be on the board to realize those gains. He can be played late because it's ongoing. The turns that you spent all your energy are tracked, and so he will get that amount of power. The odd thing that really bothers me about Speed is at the beginning of the turn or the end of the turn, I forget specifically when, you'll see his power tick up and then you'll see his power tick back down because once the turn switches over, you no longer have used all of your energy because it's the beginning of that turn, so his power goes down again. It's just a pet peeve I have with Speed, but overall, he's decent for what he is in the decks he fits in. US Agent is a card I personally do not have, yet at least. So his effect can have some amount of control depending upon the opponent you're playing. If they're running a lot of big cost cards, that -3 power is very impactful. If you're going up against a Angela Kitty deck, it is just completely useless. US Agent being an ongoing card, that means he's susceptible to Enchantress, Rogue, and Echo, and the myriad of ongoing counters. But he can put in work for certain ongoing decks, certain negative affliction decks, Ajax type decks with Luke Cage. So will I be getting Strange Supreme? Or will I be continuing the trend of passing on every single card in this season? I will probably be continuing the trend of passing on every single card this season. This season is just not good.
Trash.
And so, yeah, Strange Supreme strikes me as more of a glass cannon. Like, he can be very powerful. He might end up being the most powerful 2-cost card in the game, but that just means he's open to getting Shang-Chi'd or Shadow King'd if that card returns to prominence. And so it's just tough to see where exactly he fits, why you would want to be using him, and the amount of work. Like, it's not just free necessarily, because he needs support. You need to have created cards. You need to either play those or create them on the board. And so it's just tough for me to see how this card really makes any amount of impact, but we'll have to wait and see. Strange Supreme gets my rejected seal. Yeah, like I said, I don't see how this card lasts past a couple of weeks, or a week if that. Speed gets my rejected seal also. He's decent, but you just don't see him much, and that speaks to what people actually think of the card. If you're not playing the card, you don't think highly of him, and I'm in the majority in that case. And then US Agent gets my approved seal. I think overall he's good. Like I said, it can be matchup dependent, but he can put in work, and he's just 2-cost, so there's not too much harm. You can fit him into different turns. He doesn't need to be played out on turn 2. Sometimes he's best saved for later to see where your opponent's playing. And overall, I like the card even though I don't have him. Thanks to the members of the channel, and thank you to everybody that watches all the way to the end. I really appreciate it. Now, like I referenced earlier in the video, I may end up becoming collection complete. I'm planning right now to create a video on the new Snap Packs system with real examples. So I'll sit and do the math, I guess, and figure out if it makes sense for me to become collection complete, how I can keep that going, and if it makes sense, because I do not want to be paying, a lot of money to keep that going. This is just kind of a hobby. It's something I do for fun. I'm not a full-time creator, so I'm not gonna be spending wads of cash on this game. And if I can maintain it, I may do that. That way I can get videos, because this month has seen a drought. I haven't gotten any new cards, so I'm having to just rely and create with the pre-existing cards, which can get difficult from time to time, especially because I create off-meta decks, and it's not easy. A lot of losing involved. So we will see if I do that. That way it would be ease the burden of creating videos, or if I just stay how I've been and just pick and choose and just deal with it. So TBD on that. But you can let me know what you think. If you want to see me become collection complete and try to maintain it, assuming they don't add too many new cards each month. Otherwise, I'll just keep going or figure it out. So thanks for listening to my little spiel, and until next time.
You forgot a deck with me for Strange Supreme.